Good morning, buenos días. Thank you so much for coming to our LatinX in AI Science panel on diversity. Muchas gracias a todos los miembros de LatinX en AI que nos acompañan hoy en este panel de diversidad. My name is Julian Pachon. I'm originally from Colombia. I'm a director and chief scientist for Amazon Last Mile. My team focuses on the development of optimization and AI-based algorithms to plan the delivery of over 9 billion packages per year around the world. I will be your host for this session. Mi nombre es Julián Pachón, soy colombiano y dirijo el desarrollo de todos los algoritmos que usamos en el área de última milla. Hoy estaré liderando este panel. Amazon Science wanted to invite you all as members of Latinx in AI to participate in a discussion with different Amazon Science leaders. Our panelists today will be sharing personal anecdotes about their journey through their career at Amazon, and will be answering questions that you all have submitted to us regarding diversity and innovation. The goal of this discussion is to provide an open forum conversation for diverse members of the AI community to learn about experiences, opportunities, and challenges directly from science leaders. Hoy tendremos a varios líderes y científicos de distintas áreas de Amazon compartiendo con ustedes experiencias, oportunidades y retos. Haremos este panel en una combinación de inglés y español, dado que muchos de los participantes que nos acompañan hoy vienen de países latinos. También todos nuestros panelistas hoy son de origen latino. So let me introduce you to our panelists. Tenemos a Juan Huerta. He's originally from Mexico. Juan is a senior research manager in the area of search and AI. We have Darwin Villagomez, originally from Ecuador. Darwin is a senior research manager in the area of buyer risk and fraud prevention. We have Walterio Mayol Cuevas. He's originally from Mexico. Walterio is a principal research scientist in the area of computer vision and machine learning. And we have Francisca Gil Ureta. She's originally from Santiago de Chile, and she's an applied scientist in the area of imaging and technology. So can I ask the panelists to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your career path here in Amazon? So Juan, why don't we get started with you?
Sure. Hola a todos. My name is Juan Huerta. I'm a senior science manager in the search and AI team. And my team and I, what we do essentially, we build large deep learning models to help downstream machine learning applications within Amazon. What it means is that we take lots of data and we train, as I said, very large models using distributed clusters. And then these models are used to help other machine learning tasks improve their performance. In terms of my background is in electrical and computer engineering. I'm originally from Mexico, and in my career, I've been in different roles in the industry. I've been in banking, in finance, but I also did some research in speech and NLP before coming.
Awesome, thank you, Darwin.
Hola a todos. My name is Darwin, and I'm a senior research science manager in the area of consumer protection, customer protection, and fraud prevention. I lead a team that builds predictive machine learning models to protect Amazon customers from hackers. So that means we screen every time a person tries to sign into Amazon or place an order in Amazon, trying to figure out if it is really the person, really the customer, or is a hacker trying to take over the account. We screen more than 100 million daily attempts to sign in and place orders in Amazon. And if we believe it is not a real customer, we try to stop the transaction and event. And to do this at scale, we use machine learning models to determine the level of risk of the event or transaction. A little bit of my background: I grew up in Ecuador. I got my undergrad and master's degrees there, and then I moved to the US to get my PhD in physics. So that's my background in physics, and I transitioned to, when I transitioned to industry, I started working on the machine learning piece, on the machine learning side.
Awesome. Walterio?
Hola, soy Walterio y soy mexicano. At Amazon, I'm principal research scientist leading the efforts of computer vision and machine learning for Amazon Special Projects Unit. In this unit, we think big about how Amazon can make an impact that matters in the world. And we have launched several products that are oriented to create benefits to as many people as possible. These include things like Echo Frames, for example, that allows you to have artificial intelligence with you all the times. Amazon Care, which is remote telemedicine to bring medical access to as many people as possible. Amazon Explore, which is like virtual telepresence that you can go and visit multiple places in real time. And also in Amazon Glow, my team is developing computer vision to bring children and their loved ones together, independent of the distance. And a little bit of my background, I did my undergrad degree at UNAM in Mexico, which is a main national university there. And then I went to do my PhD in the UK, and then I became a professor in the UK. And Amazon, I have found, is very conducive because I'm still a professor in the UK, but I can still help Amazon from inside. So I have this great ability of having contacts in both academia and industry, and that helps both sides. Thank you.
Thank you, Walterio. And Francisca?
Sí, hola, mi nombre es Francisca. I'm an applied scientist at Amazon, specialized in 3D computer graphics and computer vision. I work designing algorithms to create 3D models faster. Amazon, we want to have 3D models of pretty much everything we're selling. So we need to speed up the creation of 3D models, and that's where I work currently. Before joining Amazon, I completed my PhD in computer science at NYU in New York. There I was working with 3D printers and other digital manufacturing techniques. I'm originally from Santiago de Chile. I grew up there and did my undergrad and master's degree in computer engineering. And then I moved to the US around 2011. I worked as a developer in San Francisco for a couple of years before starting my PhD. So I've been in the US for a bit of, I think, 10 years, and at Amazon for 2.5 years already.
Awesome. Thank you, Francisca. Let's get it started. We have selected multiple questions from the numerous that were submitted by you all to be discussed in this panel. So our first question is, what is it like to work at Amazon in AI research? Francisca, you want to get us started?
So I joined Amazon right after my PhD, and the experience has been pretty great for me. I've gotten to collaborate with 3D artists, with engineers and researchers of very different backgrounds. And I really like working in interdisciplinary teams because I learn a lot from everyone, and I'm a very curious person. And the day-to-day will vary depending on the stage we are in a project. We do read a lot of papers, a lot of the state of the art to see how we can apply it to our problems. We have a lot of discussions. We write code that gets into production, and we run a lot of experiments to validate that what we're doing is actually going to have an important impact. So it's a bit of everything, but every part of the project, it's very exciting.
Awesome. Darwin?
Yeah, I've been with Amazon for almost 6 years now, and I joined this team that trying to protect customers from hackers. So the focus on Amazon is always the customer, and we build our models with the customer in mind first, to make sure the customer is protected. And that, I think that is something I enjoy a lot working at Amazon. All the research we do is applied research. It has a direct impact on the lives of our customers. So we build, for example, we protect customers from hackers using a mix of supervised models, anomaly detection. We borrowed techniques from deep learning or other supervised and unsupervised learning techniques. I'm also very lucky to have big support from good teams of engineers and scientists. So that's the other thing of it. I enjoy working with at Amazon is a collaboration between different teams with the with an objective to fulfill that objective and to meet those goals. We are constantly challenged to improve the customer experience and balance fraud prevention with customer friction. Our predictive models have to run fast, so that's a good challenge. They need to gather all the information, compute all the features, and run all the models very quickly, and they need to be very accurate also. If we get it wrong, we can potentially cancel orders from real customers or block them from accessing Amazon, which is not acceptable. It is a good challenge to maintain this balance. Balancing model precision and recall is not a theoretical problem anymore, but it has real impact on customers. So I think that's one of the good challenges of working for a company like Amazon on the machine learning side.
Awesome. Juan?
Yes, in my case, what I really enjoyed at Amazon is working together with scientists and engineers that are really, really good. In our case, what we do is we take technologies that are available off the shelf, both through AWS and open source like PyTorch, and again commodity hardware, right? Again, available in AWS, and use these to train our models. And many times, what we need to do is we need to create specific adaptations or code, right, to adjust to our specific needs. So, for example, processing of images, manipulation of text. So we develop those solutions, right, that help our all model training, and we also write code that is a little bit more help us stream high volumes of data into these clusters of GPUs. So at the end, what we have is really a solution that is a mixture of hardware, software, and specialized technologies or solutions or code that we write. So I find that very exciting to work again in these multidisciplinary teams.
Awesome, Juan. Thank you so much. Now, in the area of the last mile, we have a large number of AI-based applications. In this area, it's very hard to get source of truth for a lot of the data that is used for planning and operations around the world. So we actively, do research in AI to improve our inputs. For example, we plan hundreds of thousands of routes per day, and so one key input to planning a route is service time. And the service time is the time that it takes to deliver a package, to my house or to your house or to house somebody in India. But the challenge that we have is that this time is different for every house around the world. And the reason why is that in some houses, you may have the parking just in front of the house. In another one, you may have a long pathway. Some customers live in an apartment building where you actually have to take an elevator to take the packages to the doorstep of the apartment. So at the end of the day, we have to learn this for every single house around the world where we deliver packages. So this is obviously a very hard problem. So we constantly kind of use AI technology to be able to learn from our previous deliveries and being able to refine our inputs. We do this for transit times, to improve our maps, to decide how to consolidate stops, and so on. So many of our scientists in my team spend their time looking at geospatial constructs around the world and finding ways to kind of improve them on a ongoing basis. Great. Well, let's move to the next question, and it is: what challenges did you face at the beginning of your work in Amazon? Francisca, you want to go first?
Sure. Yes. So one of the challenges I faced was that I wasn't very used to thinking of the customer when working. And at Amazon, we're a very customer-focused company. And I think a good example of what I went through is that I spent, I think, maybe 3 months working on an algorithm without ever talking with the 3D artists who were going to actually use the tool. I think I didn't even demo it for 3 months. So then I show them what I've done, and they're pretty excited with the demo. They're like, okay, this is super cool. And they also tell me, like, it would be even better if you had added this stuff. And I had implemented that 2 months ago. It was one of the first things we had implemented, but we thought it was too simple and we didn't saw the value in it, so we dismissed it. So after the conversation with the artist, I have to like go back and re-implement that very first thing that we had implemented. And it was a good experience for me to have. It made me realize how important it was to keep a continuous conversation with our customers and to learn from them and to take what their experience into the algorithms that we're building. And that's something that I've been doing since then. It was very important for my path at Amazon.
Awesome. Juan, why don't you tell us a little bit about your challenges?
Sure. So what I found is that Amazon is very peculiar in the sense that it's a very document-oriented organization. What that means is that when we have a meeting, right, traditionally, typically what we do is we bring a document and we spend some part of the meeting reading and the rest of the time during that meeting having a conversation on the document. This is in contrast to what I was used to before, which was more visual driven, right? Having decks of slides or PowerPoints with graphs and bullet points. And it was an interesting transition because going from, again, the visual PowerPoint presentation that, is essentially the presenter walks the audience through the slides versus everybody reading separately and then having an open conversation around the document, it really changes the way, you prepare for the meeting. You have to now prepare a document and develop the thinking in a different way. And also how the conversation happens is also different, right? And what I really like about this method is that it allows to develop the argument differently, right? As you're preparing those documents for the meetings, you tend to think a little bit differently in a way that you have to express your thoughts, again, in paragraphs and, in more, I would say, different ways from the visual. But, that was a different way of doing things. And I think that's pretty interesting.
Awesome. Thank you, Juan. Well, I came to Amazon from the aviation industry. And even though the planning for aviation has a lot of similarities on how we plan the last mile, the scale is very different. The largest challenge I think I faced at the beginning of my career at Amazon was understanding that a great scientific approach to solve a problem may not be the right path forward given the growth rate of the Amazon business. And I'll give you an example. In routing, there are numerous and thousands of publications, about how people have solved the routing problem. And there are many great approaches, and many of them, work for a few dozen nodes, a few hundred nodes, a few thousand nodes. But when you have to solve this problem for 200,000 packages, on a particular day in a couple of minutes for a given city, then you really need to think about this problem in a different way. So, early on, I learned that in Amazon, scalability matters a lot more than optimality. And, all the approaches that we have to put to the table have to be able to scale to the growth of the business. Otherwise, they become, in a way, infeasible approaches. Cool. So let's go with the next question. What is, in your opinion, the most important skill a person from Latin America must develop to be successful in AI and data science? Darwin, can I get us started?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I believe that the foundation for a successful career and machine learning, data science is that balance between having a strong technical skills and also the ability to act and deliver and communicate findings. One of the important things is to build those good communication skills, both in writing and also in presentations. As Leon was saying, we are very document-based company, so writing is very important. Communicate your findings via writing documents, but also in presentations. This usually means in English, and this is especially important for the Latinx community, since in many cases English is not our first language. So it's important to build that competency with the language. It doesn't mean to be perfect, but it means being able to communicate clearly. The other important thing is to keep learning and being curious. This is actually a skill that we need to practice, or we all need to practice and develop, to never stop learning, new things. Right? Our field changes a lot and challenges us to keep pace with technology. So keep that curiosity going is very important for our careers.
Awesome. Walterio, you want to give us your view on this?
Sure. No, I actually agree quite a lot on the 2 points that Darwin has just mentioned. And I just wanted to add, in Mexico, we have a couple of phrases. One of them is "no te achiques," which roughly means believe in yourself. And another one, which is "no te achicopales," which is slightly different and roughly also means that don't be afraid of making mistakes. And I think these two things, believing in yourself and don't be afraid of making mistakes, can allow you to succeed anywhere, but particularly in the Latinx community, where we might have struggled to get access to local mentorship or resources. Sometimes we over-index on the fact that we might not have what we think we need, or that we don't have the skills to develop. And I think this is very crucial to overcome. So it's super important. I do believe that if you're going anywhere you're going, that you do believe in yourself and never be afraid of making mistakes.
Thank you, Walterio. Okay, well, let's go to the next question. What advice will you give to a PhD student who is interested in joining the industry? Walterio, why don't you go first this time?
Oh, okay. So I think the first thing to say here is that any career path that you choose, what really matters is that you have to be passionate about that. And if you're passionate about that, you're going to succeed. To join industry, you have to love solving problems that other people have, and to do that with constraints. You already heard about what Julian and everyone has said about having to deal with limitations. And if you think about that, solving problems that someone else has and do that with constraints, pretty much that applies to any career path, both in academia or in social causes. So they are not that different from that point of view. So at the end of the day, what really matters is that you have that passion to do what you are doing. And the other thing I want to say there is that as a PhD student or as a graduate student joining industry, you're going to bring a lot of skills that are very, very important. You're going to bring not just the expertise in the field that you are currently becoming an expert on or already be a worldwide expert. You're also going to come with a lot of tools that allow you to solve problems in a specific, scientifically oriented way. And that often matters more than the specialization that you might gain in the PhD or your master's. What matters is how you approach problems, that you go and get the right papers to read and the right tools and the approach of succeeding and failing and trying and building experiments. All those tools are super important. So I do think it's very important for anyone from graduate school to learn as good as possible those skills, maybe even more than the specific topic.
Awesome. Juan, what advice you have for our PhD students?
Yeah, so I agree with Walterio, and the way I think about it is that there's a balance between the depth and the breadth in the knowledge, right? And typically a PhD student will spend many years developing depth, right, and expertise in a specific problem, and usually they come with a lot of depth in that specific area. And typically programs, PhD programs, look to provide breadth, or make sure that the candidate or the PhD candidate satisfies the breadth, usually in the form of like Walterio said, right, training on or exposure to different technologies, things like that, or qualifying exams, or taking classes. But So my advice is that when the candidate comes to industry, right, keeping in mind that breadth in science is important as well, right? And what does that mean to have science breadth in industry? It really has, might have a little bit of different meaning for different companies, right? So for example, in Amazon specifically, might mean exposure or skill sets in particular programming tools, particular technologies, and so on, right? Of course, and algorithms and the theories of machine learning and the foundations of machine learning and deep learning.
Awesome. Francisca, what is your view on this?
Yeah, what I'm thinking is that I think my advice will be different depending if you are starting your PhD or like wrapping it up. If you are starting the PhD, I would recommend to try to do internships in industry, kind of to evaluate what Walterio was saying, like, can you be passionate working in that environment? I think internships will give you, they will give you firsthand experience on that. Now, if you're wrapping up your PhD or your postdoc and you haven't done any internship or don't have any industry experience, then I would suggest to try to talk with people that have the job you want. Basically, try to contact previous students or previous postdocs, or like shake all of your network to try to talk with these people directly and ask them the same type of questions we've been trying to answer here, to see if you really see yourself doing that type of job. And I would also suggest, maybe similar to what Juan was saying, to see what you've done in the PhD a bit beyond the papers that you've written, to take a look at what other skills you have developed. My bet is that if you've been working with a lot of people, you've at some point led that people to do something, or at least organize them to finish a paper or to work on a problem. And those are skills, those are good skills that are needed in industry. If on the other hand, you've been working mostly alone, then you probably know how to do independent research, which is also a good skill to have. So that's my suggestion. Like, take another look at what you've learned, like those skills, put them in your CV, learn to talk about them, learn to have examples of, to tell us stories of what you've done, and that will also like help out in your path in industry.
Awesome. Thank you, Francisca. Okay, so we talk about the PhD students. Now let's move to, once you kind of graduate and you have, early career researchers and engineers, that are interested in working at Amazon. Darwin, what will be your suggestions for these folks on what will be their focus on their specializations?
Yeah, when it comes to the specific specialization, for a place like Amazon is a very diverse place in terms of the types of business applications that we build and the use of science for that. So there's a place to use the skills from different specializations. So I think there's no bad choices when it comes to what the specialization you're going to choose for your PhD, from supervised to unsupervised learning. It can be computer vision, natural language processing, reinforcement learning. You can add many others. I think there's no bad choices because a company like Amazon, there's a constant need for to build science applications on that lot of the very diverse set of business problems. But it is important that you're able to develop that area of expertise and one specialization, but you also have to complement that and balance that with what Juan was saying, a good breadth of knowledge. You have to know about this, what other fields in machine learning and AI do, and you have to keep a good idea of that big picture of how these fields are and specializations are linked, how they're linked together. That will help you draw when you're actually applying this and solving problems. Draw from these other fields to build stronger applications, and also to what Walterio was saying, and the ability to actually take this knowledge that you have that expert knowledge in one or two areas, and that breadth of knowledge and other aspects of machine learning, and actually translate that into building, using tools to build, is one of the most important things that you can do in your early specialization. Is the application of those, to move from the theoretical to actually building applications and using these tools to solve problems.
Awesome, thank you, Darwin. Well, we're coming to the last question for today. And Walterio, you know that Amazon does, collaboration in research with, many research groups around the world. But let me ask you, what strategies specifically you think could be adopted by both Latin American universities and Amazon Science to foster collaboration in research projects?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Julian. Thanks. I do think the first step is the obvious step, which is to start a conversation. And I have found that Amazon is fairly amenable to hear about opportunities where we might help. So the first thing will be to just hear about the opportunities, the challenges that you're facing. Perhaps one thing to say here, however, is that Amazon is fairly scientific, which is a good thing. I love that aspect of Amazon. So we love to hear about what the potential impact of problems and solutions can be, but we are also very, very keen on being able to measure the impact of that potential solution. So I think that means that if you do approach us, and you can approach Amazon Science directly, you can also reach out to anyone in this panel. I'm sure you will be able to find us in LinkedIn and other places. Come prepared when you have an opportunity. Come prepared with a solution that is measurable, and that you are identifying how you want to measure the impact, so that it's easier for Amazon to understand both the problem and the potential of that challenge or problem that you're facing. So I think again, starting the conversation. I also want to highlight that Amazon already has a number of programs that are open worldwide. They include, for example, academics anywhere in the world. There is this program called Amazon Scholars, and Amazon Scholars already has at least one recent academic from Latin America that has joined the program, and that allows academics to engage with industry in a temporary or semi-temporary manner. That's really good. The other one is the Aws Credits, which allows you to apply for funding to use cloud computing for teaching or research. And then there is also the Amazon Research Awards, which is no strings attached money. So you submit a research proposal, and if it resonates from the point of view of you're going to push the boundaries of research, then you can get funds to develop that proposal, and that is for your own research. Amazon does not necessarily engage with what you do, but of course it would be great if we can hear about your impactful research, and that helps Amazon as well. So there are a range of programs already out there. I do invite anyone in the audience to have a look at them. And otherwise, just reach out to Amazon Science or anyone here in the panel to help somehow to channel those.
Thank you so much, Walterio. Well, I want to thank you all for attending our panel today, and thank you to the panelists for sharing their experiences. Muchísimas gracias a todos los participantes y panelistas. For more information, or if you would like to learn about opportunities at Amazon, please reach out to LXAI Amazon Science at amazon.com. And also do not forget to visit amazon.science website to stay up to date on recent news and announcements. Muchísimas gracias y buen día.